Dear fellow Mooners, it is an honor and a pleasure to virtually, at least, join you for your World Summit, even in a format like this, and in a sense, come back to the roots. I have started my journey 8-9 years ago, also in a format that was inspired by Model UN and grew up to be the first regional platform of its kind to raise awareness of then just recently adopted SDGs and to expand the work on them for those who need them the most. 9 years later, I am very honored to address you, having just finished my mandate as the UN Secretary General's Youth Advisor on Climate Change. I am coming out of this mandate in a time where I don't think I need to tell you about how fragmented multilateral space is, how hard it is to achieve the progress on anything, how empowered those who do not wish peace, sustainable development, who think that might is right, who think that we need to pump oil and gas till the last drop, are reigning supreme. Yet it seems, going to be on us to ensure that these spaces change for our betterment and for our interests. Despite having quite a few senior allies for our cause in the international system, overall it is not functioning according to the logic and interests of our and future generations. We are still few who are inside. The system is still more restrictive than we wish it to be. Yet, good things happen as well. I'm pretty sure that all of you have welcomed the decision of the UN General Assembly in December to establish permanent UN Youth Office and host the Summit for the Future in 2024. Breakthroughs like this wouldn't have been possible without each of you who at the age of, say, 14, 15, 16 got interested in the international relations one way or another, participated at a Model UN, liked it, and then thought, hey, maybe I could pursue it further, and maybe became your national youth delegate to the UN, maybe got involved in civil society oversight of various aspects of UN work, and like in my case, climate and SDG 8. Each of us put a stone in this edifice that now is becoming much, much harder for senior policymakers to ignore. In year 2023, we are going to see continuously profound shifts in global dynamics between topics that gain and lose importance, between countries, between stakeholders. The only thing that should remain constant in this is our acute awareness of our interests and the need to hold to one another in spaces such as the UN and in general international arena, because they are rather unforgiving. Because in spaces like this, the main currency that is being traded and exchanged is power. Our only source of power are ourselves, our minds, our hearts, our unity. Youth climate movement from 2018 onwards demonstrated to us that even in the most adverse institutional conditions, starting from a point of being more or less ignored, it can be possible to achieve a turnaround. Moreover, and I can tell you about this as a person who plenarily participated in this effort, When the power of grassroots activists is combined with the power and foresight of young people who are involved in the work on the inside, who are in the negotiation rooms, who are observing the processes, we create a tremendous force that will have to be reckoned with by those who do not wish our cause well. So when I'm asked, do we see a progress on the UN youth representation in it? I would say yes. Is it enough? Not yet. We still see youth presence in multilateral spaces as something exotic, as something that is treated at a discount when it comes to expert inputs. This has grown lesser as a phenomenon in the last years, true. It's got more mainstreamed. Yet at the same time, we are still fighting an uphill battle. Because in 2023 and the year before that, we have seen profound political shifts that are focusing not so much on progress and ambition in multilateralism, but on securitization of global policy. And this is a development that we have to take into account. So for those of you who are only starting their path in navigating the international space, be it through Model UN right now or further engagement in the UN, my call and encouragement to you is to always pay attention to, first and foremost, the grassroots. Your advocacy and your accustoming with international context always should come from the perspective of your community's interests. It starts and ends there. We as young advocates are uniquely dependent on our legitimacy, even in a way that politicians might not be. Legitimacy comes from the grassroots. You, when you're entering the headquarters, a regional forum, a consultation, whatever other event, you formally represent only yourself, sometimes your constituency, but in reality, the ones whom you have to represent are those whom you will come back to after your speech is over, after your work on a negotiation text is over. So when you are starting to be engaged, engage locally, not only because the actual speed of obtaining results and seeing them is much faster there, but because the way an international environment functions is that it is always dependent on the positions of countries. And position of countries depend on what we, at least those of us who are based in democratic countries, what we make of it. Vibrant civil society and expanding civic space for young people depends on us as well. Depends on those of us who are engaging in our cities, localities, regions, countries, to open the door to international arena through our work to other youth. This is a function that you always need to keep in mind when you're performing your amazing work. The Model UN movement is and will continue to be a provider of a unique pipeline of awareness that is transferred from generation to generation about what it is like, at least for a beginner, to function in an international system that has seen it all. Wars, pandemics, runaway consequences of climate change, economic crisis, but has remained relentlessly committed to ultimately come to a better vision of society, nature, and future. And this is a mission that will, if not already has, fallen on us. It is falling on us in a period where we are not entirely equipped naturally to deal with it. Many of us are 20-something, some of us even less. Yet, as I mentioned in the very beginning, we do not yet have a critical mass of allies at the top level who would be able to exercise the influence to decisively turn things around. Yet at the same time, I want you to have hope in the fact that there are still those who wish as well. There are those who are willing to invest in us, in becoming better advocates for a sustainable future. I have had the honor to work with such a person. The UN Secretary General, through the last 3 years, has undergone tremendous rhetorical and political transformation when it comes to the key issue defining the future of humanity and multilateralism, climate change. All of you who followed his speeches noticed that. You notice his irritation at how the basic facts of science are being ignored by so many in political community. How key voices of key stakeholders on whom future depends, who will inherit that future, like us, like indigenous people, like other important groups, are still being treated at a discount. And he personally strove to ensure that more and more of those groups are present at the place and time where it actually matters. It is in a sense the duty, if I can say so, of the Model UN movement to make sure that there are always well-wishing and well-prepared young people readily available to come fill that gap and bring with themselves others and inspire them. It is thanks to movements like Model UN, like grassroots movements in climate space, and those who are fighting for other causes in sustainable development, that we still have the chance to flood those spaces where decisions need to be made. Flood those spaces with youth energy, talent, and fundamentally different ethics of how multilateral systems should work. I wish you all the best in your upcoming endeavors in this very challenging world that we are dealing with. And I encourage you to never relent in teaching others through your own examples about the importance of multilateralism and about the importance of us, youth, being at the core of it. Thank you so much.